Hi, thank you very much for your interest in coming and joining us tonight. It's really, really great to actually have you here. As introduced, I'm Sharyn, but I actually lead a whole team of people who've been working on behalf of Redland City Council across 7 years. So as I was preparing for this, I counted backwards and went, oh, I've lost a couple of those COVID years. It's been a long time. We've learned a lot. We know a lot about what we can actually do to actually help what are now classed as endangered creatures. Some of these things before I ever started, I had no clue about. So how many of you in the room are scientists by background? Is there anyone with that sort of a background? Front row excluded? Yeah, a good few. Those of you that aren't, I think it's really important for a moment to just understand what science is. It's not a precise function. We're still learning every day, because actually what we know today will be absolutely superseded in 10, 20, 100 years' time. So our job is to unpack the puzzle. It is to question, it is to challenge, it is to learn, and it is to improve. And that's the mindset that we bring as scientists when we're here trying to tackle what Kath rightly points out is an incredibly complex challenge. You see, we choose to live here because it's a beautiful place to be. And so we've moved into their territory, any form of wildlife that's endangered now. We bring our practices, the daily things that we do, and too many of us don't even stop to pay thought for what is this actually doing to our environment. And I don't know about you, but at the start of the COVID pandemic, when we watched waterways in Venice go clear, skies in Asia go clear, all of the things that I think we here in Australia really get to value a lot every day, and maybe sometimes we take it for granted. That teaches us the very practices and how we live, work and play has a consequence. And the poor koalas are actually feeling the consequence of us being here now, inhabiting this space for such a long time. So the way I look at it, we all have a role to play. We are all here to actually see what we can do to actually make a difference. And I'm having a few technical difficulties, team. It's beeping. Can anyone? Yep, there we go. So I ask you, and Kath gave you a nice long shopping list, what can we all do? So how well can you now recite these back to me? What actions do you take? What do you encourage the people around you to take? And there's a few that Kath kind of left off her list. We can donate, we can support, we can get to the wildlife carers the very things they need. And right across southeast Queensland now, they are facing a massive challenge because koalas actually had problems too. And we shouldn't just say koalas, these are all forms of wildlife. Some of them have actually lost their homes or got injured during that crisis. So how many of you have taken a moment to think, oh, have we donated to the wildlife causes as well? What do wildlife carers need? They actually need fuel vouchers. What's actually happened at the moment? Fuel prices have become sky high. So I've met wildlife carers who drive 1,000 kilometres every week to make sure they get the right leaves that the koala in their care actually needs to survive. So we can do a lot. We can do it in our homes, we can give our time, or we can actually maybe just get some resource, or we can help generate the political will to help protect koalas and actually move them forward. So what we do want to do is see a little bit more action from all people to actually move forward with what we can do. And so while I'll talk about council actions, while I'll talk about what they've actually been doing, it's really important that as you look at some of this material and see it, you actually think, have I been helping do that? Do I know neighbours who are doing it? What else can we stimulate more action to make all of this happen? So for more than 5 years, we've been evaluating the koala awareness campaign that's been running across the Redland City Council area. Some of you have worked with us, feedback, helping this whole campaign to grow, evolve and move over time. So it's been years of work that's actually been running, looking at different messaging lines that start to actually get different people in different ways. By 2019, we learned that we'd been missing the attention of males. So every year, we're out in community surveying to understand who has taken what information, how are they actually understanding that, and who are we missing? Because some of you in certain groups will demonstrate more or less, and that tells us where to start to work next. And you can start to see it evolve. because the men start to come into the picture. Let's talk directly to them. And guess what? We're all a bit self-interested. So the second you stick a man in the picture, more men take notice. So that's pretty cool as just one way to go, okay, guys, I need your attention. And if you talk to guys in a way that works for them, it really does actually start to work. Over time, people have said to us what they love, what they don't like about the campaign. We can see which messages miss the mark, and we start to adjust and talk more about what we do. And you can see that as the campaign's evolved over time, how the calls to action actually improve and go forward, and how they actually then start to get very tactical, showing you and telling you what you can actually do. So here's some examples of the actions residents can actually take in their own space. Do you know what koala-friendly fencing looks like? Some point out to me if you get too koala-friendly, well then the grandkids can actually get away. So that's a slight problem. So it is a challenge as we try and weigh up all of the how do we all cohabit and actually exist and work and live together. So I think for all of us, that is a bit of a challenge. So if you look across these years and how the messaging's been going, someone's got better ability at this one than me, you can actually see how it actually rolls through. So you can see the Bachelor theme has been common for years. It's fun, it resonates with a lot of people, and a lot of these reality shows are watched by a lot of people. So grab the stories, humanise the koala, have a bit of fun. Every time we're running research across southeast Queensland, people tell us to strike a balance. We need a lot of information. We want local stories on our koalas. If we've saved them and rescued them, has it worked? So they like a lot of that sort of level, but at the same time, we're all human and we love to have a bit of fun. So the more we can sort of strike a nice balance between it and talk stories and make this real, the more we get more people in community to start to actually understand. And that's the power of marketing and the power of actually coming forward and thinking and working together about what we do. When we do our research, we're out there asking, what do you like? What don't you like? If you're someone who's actually responded to a Griffith University survey, thank you. This is what we're doing, feeding it all back, learning, improving, and actually making sure that more communications cut through. We were told that people needed to be shown what to do. Give us the clear call, show us what to do. And so that is some of the work that's actually started to creep into the recent campaigning to actually get even more and more clear. And you can see how that's actually changing over time. Less words, more pictures, more action, trying to help people as they actually come through. So this clicker is so finicky, forgive me. So what I want to show you is how that campaign's moved over the years. Some of those things you'll have seen and some you won't. And that's showing in our data. So some people take notice of different forms, others miss. Sometimes you're online, sometimes you're not. So it depends on where we place it, whether it's talking to you or whether we're actually trying to tackle younger people. So don't worry if you haven't seen it, because sometimes it might not have actually have been intended for you. But what I want to show you here is what years of working on the same issue can do. Take a look at how much understanding of what contributes to koala deaths has grown and improved over the years. This is a story I can take to other regions and areas to demonstrate if you get on with it and start talking to community, our understanding improves. And the more we understand, the more we're going to have some people in community who just jump on and get on with it. And that's a great outcome, because that really actually helps to start to, let's say, protect a few more of those koalas and save them from death. So for 3.5 years, our team actually campaigned out here, running a program to actually upskill a community. We actually started to teach people how to train for a behaviour called wildlife aversion. We learned that you can actually use koala scat and you can actually train dogs to avoid koalas. So, and any other form of wildlife too. It's all about the smell. And that's what the scat's actually doing. That work contributed to a 40% reduction in koala deaths from dog attacks. So there are ways we can actually take action and start to move. Now that means we are missing some because we haven't got rid of it, and there's a lot more work to be done. And that's where this work, when my team reaches out and says, hey, can you help us, is really critical. What do you like? What don't you like? What other ideas have you got? Because you're the very people that teach us what else is possible. and we just cannot do the work we do without you. So last year we were out in community. More than 30 people actually came out and spent a good bit of time with us. Usually we take about 2 hours of your life. And this is what was the result, because they literally started to tell us what they actually wanted to see. They actually told us that maybe The Bachelor's getting a bit old, so let's go for Beauty and the Geek instead. Bit of fun, and let's evolve and continue to actually grow on. And moving into some of those other actions and how can we do it, and where is this message actually placed? So for us, the feedback's critical. It's used, it pushes us forward. And you can see here the next play with the koala wants a wife. So again, starting to have more fun across more dimensions and taking those koalas on a journey, taking people on a journey that's going to help protect koalas. So right now, here tonight, you'll see later on stage is one of the colleagues from my team. And our team at the moment are out there in community yet again, of getting ready to actually understand what happened this year. So what worked, what didn't work. So if you are very happy to scan a QR code if you haven't done it already, and give us 7 minutes of your life, we would be super grateful, because A, that goes straight back into the Redlands work, and you start to see that in the messaging next year. It tells us who to talk to and what to talk to them about. Which elements work? So if we've placed an ad over here, is that better than the ad that's over there? So this work is really critical, and it's ongoing, and it's happening right now. So it's really important to actually understand that. But our team are now working beyond the Redland City Council, and we're actually working across another 11 different local government areas. What we're seeing is who is working where on what. And what I'd like to share with you is that Redlands would be one of the most proactive local government areas across our entire southeast Queensland region. So the actual council itself is doing heaps. They've got so many different initiatives under the new plan and the old plan that has been going on for such a long time. And you can see that's not always the case. Not all councils are doing as many actions. So pity some of the poor koalas living in some of these other areas. The other thing we've been looking at is what are residents doing? And again, this is where I think you can all pat yourselves heavily on the back and go, well done, Redlands, because you can see so many different initiatives underway across that region. And then finally, one of the bits that we actually do, and if you don't know about Wildlife Watcher and you're not on a Facebook or Instagram, ignore this. But if you follow Facebook or Instagram, this is talking daily now to people across southeast Queensland. It puts shouts out and calls out to help connect so that we can get resources out to carers. We've had Joey's sponsored. We've had paint, towels and things delivered to the wildlife carers that need them. So if you're involved in action yourself and you want to have your short story shared, reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with Brooklyn and she'll come out and work with you, or you can send her photos and she'll start to talk and share the stories. It's important we connect more people in more ways so that we can have conversations to help koalas as fast and quick as we possibly can. So these are examples of the Joeys that were actually sponsored. That for us is a true measure of success. It is possibly going to save a life, and if we're saving one female Joey, she might go on to produce 7 or 8. And that's the beginnings of us recovering and creating a population over time. So for me, that's what we actually need to be able to try and do as we go forward. If you're interested in following our work, we would actually encourage you to scan and sign up for the newsletter. We only email once a month, and it's about some of the major initiatives that we uncover that are happening elsewhere. Because I appreciate you're here in Redland. It's one part of the story that we share and talk about. The more we can coordinate for action, I think the more resource we can bring in, and that's what's needed. So thank you so much for your attention tonight and for being here, and I'll pass it on.